Hey y'all, happy Thursday. Welcome to Thursday night. I was going to say welcome to Thursday night Bible study, but we are not doing Bible study this month. Welcome
Hey y'all,
to
happy Thursday.
I am not supposed to be playing back. Tonight, y'all, we are continuing with the Faith, Love, and Marriage series. So as you hop on, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Because y'all, we have some very special guests tonight, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to share the platform with these people. So happy Thursday. Come on in, kick off your shoes, relax your feet, get your favorite blanket, share this with a friend. Make sure you have some water or something because we are going to Kiki tonight. Of course, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you can hear me. Hey, Jamisha, my friend on y'all. We're talking about faith, love, and marriage for the entire month. And so if you don't know me, because we have a lot of new family members here on my YouTube channel. Hey, I'm Dr. Brianna Whiteside. I am the host of All Things, but I am excited to have our new friends on the platform. Y'all, tonight we're talking about faith, love, and marriage every Thursday in February. Pulling brilliance out of STEM. Hey, from Pittsburgh, how you doing? Hey, Dr. Natasha, I owe you an email. Dr. Natasha, I'm going to email you back tomorrow. All right. Y'all, and I couldn't be more excited about this series because I know that in February, when you're single, you feel away. Trust me, I've had my seasons of that. And I was really asking God, this is how this came about. I was really asking God, how can we uplift people, right? How can we take the focus off of what we don't have and focus on what we do have, and also focus on celebrating the other people in our lives. And that's when he gave me this Faith, Love, and Marriage series. And I really believe that it's important to highlight Christian marriages, kingdom marriages, marriage, the institution of marriage in general. I think it is a resilient institution. I believe in its power, and I wanted to highlight some very amazing people who I know, who I love, and who I cherish all month. And so if you haven't liked the video already, please like the video. Be sure to share this with a friend. And without further ado, hey, Serena. I am going to bring on my special guest because we're going to be on here for an hour. Y'all, tonight I am introducing you all to the Scotts. Spencer and Dr. Khirsten Scott, y'all. These are my long-term friends. I love them dearly, and I'm so excited that they decided to share tonight with us. Y'all, I don't want to belabor the point, so let's hop on into it. Khirsten and Spencer, tell the people who y'all are.
I am Spencer Scott. Anderson, Alabama. I met Khirsten in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, right at the end of getting my undergrad in 2014, 2 days before my birthday. So
it's been a great. Khirsten.
About you. I'm Khirsten. I'm from Memphis.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So tell us about what y'all doing. Tell us about what y'all doing these days.
Sure. I'm a professor at the University of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I teach in the School of Education. I do a lot of community engaged work. If anybody's interested, all of my social media handles are my name with the L in the middle. But beyond that, I also do ministry work at my church here in Pittsburgh, connected to youth and young adults, and really just thinking about what it means to kind of use my gifts of education and event coordinating and community building to connect people and think about pathways into their own faith and sustaining it.
I am a restorative practice coordinator for the University of Pittsburgh School, the School of Social Work. And essentially, I work to dismantle the school to prison pipeline.
I love it.
So, yeah,
I love it.
I do that. I do some work consulting as far as social emotional learning, professional developments, and whatnot. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Black excellence.
We're also parents. So
yeah, they got a dog. Where's Simba?
He will join us at some point. So just putting that out there.
So let me tell y'all how I know the Scotts. Y'all, Khirsten and I went to undergrad together, right? I can't say we were friends though. We knew each other. How did we
We were friends to a certain extent because your dorm was like 3 doors down from me. And when I would go on dates or to places, I would borrow your clothes. And
my shoes.
Your shoes. Yes. Freshman year. And then we had the same major, but we didn't take a lot of classes
we didn't
together.
take classes.
We came in at the same year, but you took classes ahead of me.
Yeah.
Really didn't become friends until we got in grad school.
Yeah. So we knew each other. We used friends loosely then, and then we developed a friendship years later, right? When I moved to Alabama to go to the University of Alabama for the PhD program, you were there for your master's program, headed to Louisville for the PhD. And y'all, let me tell y'all how I met Spencer, because it's crazy how our relationship has developed, all of our relationships, because Khirsten and I's friendship, as we're developing a friendship, I meet Spencer. She starts dating Spencer, right? And she throws him a birthday party, a cookout at his apartment. Me and Spencer stayed in the same apartment complex. Yeah, we stayed at the Links, right?
I remember the cookout. Go ahead.
You cooked because you cooked. And so
I cooked. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was like a barbecue type situation.
Okay.
And you invited me over. It was me, it was a few other people from the grad program. And then we met, and it became a tradition of ours because the first time I met Spencer was on his birthday. And then from then we developed a every year kind almost ritual that we will spend Spencer's birthday together, but not your birthday.
Right. And that was 10 years ago. This is our 10th year. This April will be 10 years of us on each other, being together.
Yeah. And so it became this thing. So I moved, even though I was growing in friendship with Khirsten, I became a friend of the marriage. And so it's like, I'm the third person. I'm the third person on his birthday when I come in town and we try to connect. And I wanted to bring y'all on because I've seen it from the beginning. And I am honored that y'all let me journey with you all, that you trusted me to journey with y'all, and also just continue to include me as a friend, as a single friend in you all's marriage and you all's lives. And as I've been able to watch you all grow and blossom and overcome so many things, y'all have become one of my favorite couples because I've seen the growth and the elevation. I know. Now, Spencer, I'm traveling for a lot of people. So if I'm traveling
and staying 2 days.
And missing a fish.
Listen.
Y'all know. Y'all just have my blanket ready and my heater because it's gonna be cold. But all right, so that's not why y'all here. Y'all are here to talk about marriage, overcoming things. But I want to backtrack. First, tell us, how long have y'all been married?
No, because I get it wrong.
Go ahead.
We have been married for 5 years.
This year will make
6 years in July.
Okay, so y'all been married almost 6 years. And I want you all to tell us about your season right before you all met each other individually. Where were you all? What was your mindset leading up to meeting, actually?
Well, I was a mess. I wasn't where I needed to be. In fact, I was still living at the time at the time that I met Kirsten, we were broken up, but I was still living with my ex.
Wow.
Yeah, I was terrible. Uh, yeah, so when we met, actually, we met on Tinder. Um, I just knew that I needed to. I'm swiping for the wrong reasons, not for the right ones. But I was in college at the time, and this guy named Cody Martin who was like, "Hey man, you need to get on Tinder." I was like, "What is that?" And so he basically explained it to me. I'm like, "This is how people get kidnapped." Um, and so he was like, "Man, just try it." So actually, months later, download the app, started swiping, then eventually met Kirsten. And so, yeah, we didn't think that was gonna be anything because she was literally packing up to leave. And she was supposed to just be gone, and we were supposed to just be a summer fling. And here we are.
Okay. Okay. So Spencer, you were just outside. You was in between things. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Like you were exiting something, but you were still
Actually,
in it.
it was just I was just there. We weren't even like together. We was
Okay.
just there.
Y'all were roommates?
Basically. Yeah.
Okay, Kirsten. Moving on.
It's no problem.
Hey,
Kirsten, tell us about what was happening.
We secure.
Tell us about what was happening because Spencer said y'all was just supposed to meet up and you was gonna head on out.
So the season before I met Spencer, I was really lonely. Like I had committed a lot of time to my studies. I went completely through schooling at every level, no breaks. And I had got into my head that I was gonna be by myself. Like I was like, nothing is working out. Everybody is like trash. It's always something. It's always somebody got somebody else.
Yeah.
Like it was just nothing was ever manifesting. And I just felt like this is not gonna happen for me. And I remember telling my best friend that like the only thing that like worked for me was school. I was like, only thing I can like succeed in is school, obviously, because all these relationships keep failing. And so that just made me put like all of my energy. And that's when I really reflect back, that was my entire life. Like elementary school, middle school, high school, like whether it was friendships or home life, it was like just school, just succeed. Like, and I was having all these accolades and successes, so it felt like that was the right thing to do. And so similar to Spencer, one of my friends in my graduate school, my master's cohort, was like, "Oh, you should just do online dating." And I was like, "Girl, Black people do not do online dating." And she was like, "Yes, they do. It's a young professionals thing." And I was like, no, I'm not trying to come up missing out here. I don't even know how I would. No.
Yeah.
And I lived alone. Like the real deal is that like I lived in Tuscaloosa by myself. There were just so many factors that literally I felt nervous about online dating. And so this is where the story parallels that like I just thought like, well, I just graduated. My family literally packed my apartment up after graduation. And I was going to house sit for my professor because my lease was up and I was moving to Kentucky. And so I had just got out of a situationship that I thought was like it, and it was trash, and it was a roller coaster of a mess.
Yeah.
And, so I was just like, oh, Tinder. Let me go on some dates this summer. Counting down the weeks.
Have fun.
Have fun. Reckless, terrible, fun.
Because that's what happened when you hurt.
And just
So
to be honest, like I was hurt and I was like channeling all that energy through sex and dates and bars. Like it was just like, let's hang out, let's have a good time. It is what it is. I'm moving. I'm not gonna even know you. But what's interesting is that when I matched with Spencer, I deleted the app. I was like, oh, okay, well, this gonna be my summer person. That's it. Because I didn't understand. Now I should remind everybody, this is 2014.
yeah,
So like I don't even know
Master's
Tinder was
student.
released. So it was like very early.
It was early.
I know that people were using it, but it wasn't like how now it has evolved. So like I was a little green. I was like, oh, I matched with a person. I don't want to match with nobody else. I'm good. This is enough for me.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah, I think I learned about Tinder because you mentioned Tinder, and I was like, what's Tinder? Like, I don't even know what this thing is. It was before it was what it is now, right? And so I think you said something so important. You said, like, basically, you were just trying to get over the situation that hurt your feelings, broke your heart. You was going to have fun and leave.
That's it.
All right. Now we see you ain't have fun and leave. Okay. So, yeah, fine. You did leave, but okay.
Yeah,
She ain't go too far.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I didn't get too far. Go ahead, Spencer, since you
I was just saying she didn't
reel me in, however you reel it in.
Huh?
Go ahead. She said
oh no, it was just you know, I'm about to leave.
Wait, how did she tell you? How did this happen?
It was after one of those nights. He was like, yeah, so I'm about to go to Kentucky. I was like, oh, word, my mom about to get a job in Kentucky. Which is crazy because her job was trying to send her to Kentucky. And so it was just like, dang.
I can't get rid of you.
I wasn't expecting you to say that. And so it was every time she tried to say something to kind of maneuver the conversation of this is going to be it, it was like it was just blocking it. The conversation wouldn't go anywhere. So and then eventually she was like, well, we're here. So what are we going to do?
Wow.
So
like the moving day?
Before the moving day.
Oh. Well, you're leaving out important detail.
What's the important detail?
By 4th of July, so we met April 25th.
Okay.
We went on some dates. We used to work out together. It was real cute. It was a cute summer. It was a very lovely summer.
Sure.
And by 4th of July, he was like, oh, I want you to come and meet my family.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, that's not in the equation. Like
you were just supposed to have fun and leave.
Have a summer and leave. And he really played it like, oh, my family is cool, it's nothing. And I was like, meeting somebody's family is always something.
It's a big deal.
Meet my folks.
You wasn't trying to do that though.
Right. And so that's what he's saying about like I was blocking everything. I was like, no, we gotta do that. And he was like, no. So I go to Anderson, Alabama first time. So
what did you bring? What did you bring?
Get there. So I'm Googling like what is in Anderson?
Nothing.
And it was like, used to be this, used to be that, etc. I was like, okay. And so I was like, well, I should take something. So I baked a cake because in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to this man's house to meet his family.
You baked a cake. You brought a cake for a family you didn't want to meet.
But it would have been rude to not bring something.
What kind of cake was it?
So I brought a red velvet cake, but I actually made it like red, white, and blue because that's just me. I think that's just like.
But Kirsten's also an event planner, y'all. So she will bring things and she will gather and she will throw you a party and you will
they tore that cake up. Okay, let's talk about that. I've also made the cake since then at other family holiday events, not the red, white, and blue one, but a red velvet.
Okay. Okay. So
I met Sister's mom that day.
Okay.
She tells me this story about well, my son already told me all about you and how much he enjoys going out with you, and you're just so different. I was like,
Oh,
so you've also talked to your mother about
yeah,
me.
that's major.
And that's why I'm at your house right now. And
Because Spencer, you're your mother's only child.
I am, and I have to kind of give some context
please.
to that conversation. Hey Ma, this person is coming.
This person.
And the conversation was, who is she?
Sure.
And so I was like, okay, her name is Khirsten.
Okay.
I'm truly enjoying her company.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Let the man tell a story, Khirsten.
Right. Truly enjoying her company. And so her question was, why her? I mean, you know, and I was like, oh, she's different. It's just something about her. You know, I'm really enjoying.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be just a summer thing, but I think it's gonna go past.
Oh, that's the first time I heard that.
I love it. Okay, let's speed up. All right, so we took the long way to Walmart. So y'all meet on Tinder. It was a messy situation, right? It wasn't even supposed to be a thing. It wasn't supposed to move past that moment. But you all liked each other, right? And things started to connect. And I'm an outside person watching the journey. So let's fast forward. Y'all meet in 2014. Let's talk about how Spencer proposed.
So we've now dated. I moved to Kentucky. Spencer stayed in Alabama. We dated long distance for 4 years, the entire time of my PhD. And it was actually, in hindsight, a very smooth long distance dating. Like, we were really invested in it. So much so that Spencer took his first road trip and drove from Alabama to Kentucky.
Oh,
the video that's on YouTube. I mean, not your first road trip, but like that long to come and visit me. Like,
oh yeah, no, yeah. I wouldn't.
And so, and it's important because when we first started dating, told me like, if we can make it through this, we can make it through anything. Like, if we can make it through long distance dating, we can make it through anything. And I was like, okay, sure. And so we get to year 4, and I'm finishing my PhD. Like, I finished my PhD in 4 years. And I got sick fall of 2017. And this was the second time that I got sick with what has later developed into a chronic condition for me, that like and when I would get sick, I would have a surgery that would cause me to have to like need continuous care. And so the first time my grandmother came to Kentucky to take care of me. This time I was trying to finish my dissertation and interview for jobs. And so I ended up staying in Alabama with Spencer. So he took care of me the entire time that I was sick, and even coordinated like friends like Brianna to come to the hospital or come and stay with me at his apartment, like all these things that were just amazingly admirable. And so I get my final job kind of interviews, and the way academic jobs work is like you submit at one part of the year, and then if you are a person who they think is a finalist, after about 2 months, then they will kind of fly you to the campus for you to give a talk, and then kind of court you towards the job. And so I came to Pittsburgh, and I knew I got the job here when I came to give the job talk. Like, it was just very clear to me. I even wrote Spencer like a postcard, and myself a postcard, like saying like, I think this is it for the job. And so I did end up getting a job. And when I got the job in February, I was like, whoa, like my life, like I'm making a life choice, like right now. And I wanted to be careful not to make this change in my life be a thing for us, but it was really hard. Like, when you invited us, I started to reflect back on like, well, I don't want to put it on him like, well, I'm about to move, what you gonna do? Or anything like that. But I do think that in the back of my mind, and maybe even as the time started to move on, I was like, so what are we gonna do? Because I was starting to make all of these provisions. You know, I'm having to think about like, now I got to end this lease and I got to set up movers. I need to go to Pittsburgh to find a place to live. Like I'm about to, this is not school anymore,
Mhm.
you know, where school has these time barriers. And so I was making choices for myself, but I was deeply in love with Spencer. Like at this point in time, we had done all the family things. Like I had gotten sick twice. He was a football coach. Like we did so many things across our dating life that showed me what it meant to be committed to a person. Because I don't even like football. I sat in the rain
Mhm. You were committed.
to watch this man
You was committed.
coach these little boys. You know,
You was out there, cheer
you keep
cold.
going.
You were out
And
there.
all those family visits, he would come and see my family. You know, we were negotiating so many things. And so there was a conversation, you know, and I wanted to be thoughtful about that conversation. And I remember saying to Spencer, like, this is the path that I chose. I'm not forcing this on you, you know, but I'm moving to Pittsburgh. Like
Okay, pause. Spencer, pick up from right there. What were you thinking? How are you feeling when Khirsten, informs you that she gets this job in Pittsburgh? Because
Um,
you had you ever lived out of Alabama at the time?
no,
Okay. From
no.
Anniston to
Um,
Tuscaloosa, right? Okay.
and no, I didn't mean I spent a month in Louisville
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
right before, but when she told me, so interestingly, I didn't get rattled. I didn't know what was gonna happen. But I just was like, okay, because I knew we made it through this whole dissertation time period.
And it's hard.
And I knew that Pittsburgh was so much further than Louisville. I wasn't trying to drive
Yeah.
to Pittsburgh, but I didn't know what the plan was in that moment.
Yeah.
But what I did know was God was always like, oh, don't worry about it. I got you. So somehow, some way, we had already previously had a conversation about, the teaching job that I had at the moment. I was like, nah, this ain't it.
Because you were an elementary school teacher.
Elementary school teacher. I wasn't feeling fulfilled.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel like I was reaching the kids. Academically, yeah, we were good in that department, but I felt like I needed to give them more, and I wasn't able to do that with the confines of the classroom. And so I was like, you know what? I'm coming. Didn't know how, didn't know when. I was like, I'm coming.
I'm coming.
And so April 20, well, no. Let me not take you that fast because this is actually important. I end up moving. End up moving from the Lynx the second time. Into a duplex. And so one night I was just feeling something. I don't know what I was feeling, but I was feeling unsettled. And this was a time that, I went into deep prayer. I wrote out a prayer on in a notebook. And so in that notebook, I told God everything that I felt like I needed or wanted. And I was asking him for things. And so I lost the notebook after that. Fast forward a little bit. I'm in the final apartment in Northport, Tuscaloosa area. And around this time, I found out my mom had cancer. And so I would then, spend a lot of time, while she was away, just like playing music, DJing, just spent a lot of time doing that. That was my way of coping outside of the field, outside of track, outside of the things that I already had going on. And just one particular night, it was like I was playing music, and it was as though I heard God's voice saying, "Go sit at this desk and open the drawer." And it was, where did we get that desk from? I don't even remember, but in the top drawer of this desk on the right side was that same notebook that I lost. Not there. And so I was like, how a kid opens their Christmas gift that they always wanted?
Yeah.
And it was like I opened the notebook, and just directly to the page where I had already wrote that prayer.
Yeah.
And as I'm reading, I'm crying, which never happens. And so in this moment, I just went into prayer saying, thank you. And so I calculated the time as to what date I wrote the prayer, the time that I reread it, the time that I spent thanking God, and the 27th of April that same year, we were hanging out.
By we, me and them.
Yeah.
I think I had just passed my prospectus for my dissertation defense. Okay.
Right.
And it's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
Yeah. Okay.
My birthday.
It's his birthday.
We went to the Mexican restaurant with Bree and had cupcakes.
Yeah.
Right.
To celebrate Bree. And then we went to dinner, me and you, to celebrate you.
Right.
I don't remember that part.
We were on the strip.
Yeah. Y'all went to dinner?
We went to have a steak.
Okay. Okay.
That's where he wanted to go for his birthday.
We went to Nick's and Sticks.
We went to Nick's and the Sticks.
Okay.
And so
you didn't go to that part.
I didn't go to that part. Right. I went to the Mexican part.
Free restaurant, yeah.
Yeah, free restaurant.
And so by the time we got back,
on your birthday.
On my birthday. That is important.
Mm-hmm.
On the way, actually, I was like, I got something to show you. I didn't know I was going to do this in that moment, but we got back. I played this song, and I was, started talking. And I was like,
I think I'm finna cry already.
I want you to marry me.
Oh, you said it like that.
Literally.
I said,
I didn't even know. There was at least a 10-minute ramble before, and I was standing in the doorway like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it was just like in this notebook, and God told me in the drawer, and I was like, okay.
He was nervous.
Yeah.
I was not. I was very nervous, but again, how kids open that gift.
Yeah.
And on my birthday, I felt like she was that gift, and I didn't want to miss that moment. It was very, 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 very hard to get the words out. And it was very rough. Because I knew that I could not fumble in that moment. And I knew that our lives were going to change. I didn't know how much it was going to change. I didn't know it was going to change as much as it did, but I knew that somehow, somewhere, our lives were going to change in a matter of months.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you asked her to marry you that night?
Yeah.
She said yes that night. The next day, we were together again. Oh, yeah. You proposed without a ring. Let's go that part. We can't leave that part out.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
it. You didn't have
the ramble, the music, standing there, will you marry me?
Yeah.
And I was like, of course I will. Yes, no
Where's
problem.
the ring?
But it was like, so what's happened? Like, I literally could not process the moment. And then I could see like Spencer was starting to withdraw, and I was like, no. I'm listening to you. I'm just not sure. Are you asking me to marry you right now? Or like, will I marry you? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, no, right now. And I was like, of course. And he was like, no, this is me. And I was like, oh, like, and it went from like confusion to excitement. And so it was really a moment of like hearing someone say to you, like, God told me to do this.
Mm.
And then you're like, well, I would hope so. But it's so outside of like what you see in a movie, what you like, maybe even what I had even dreamed up in my mind. And what's interesting, you said the season right before, but for so many years, I didn't want to get married because I was so sure that like what my parents experienced in marriage or what I saw of marriages was like the fate of it all. And I was like, I'm good on that. Like,
Miss me.
I was on some Tyler Perry. I could do bad all by myself. But I truly had a heart of like defeat until we started dating. And I was like, okay, like people can love you for you. Like you don't have to compromise on these things. It was like these like quirky things that make you who you are, and you don't have to change them. You don't have to think twice about them. But also that like caring for someone while they're sick. Like we weren't even married, and it was like here was this person waiting on me, caring for me in a truly life or death situation. And when I think about the way that things just moved from that moment, we were only engaged for 90 days. I had planned to that point some of the most extravagant weddings I had ever seen in my life. And I was designing them. I had this person, that person, helping flowers. I even did a 3-day Indian wedding. And you get to my wedding, 90 days, no bridesmaids, on a Thursday. At 12 o'clock because Spencer told me, it's important to me that we're married before we move to Pittsburgh. And I said, okay. And what's really amazing to me about obedience early, like when you reflect back on a thing, is that we chose our wedding date based on the movers coming to move us to Pittsburgh. And so we were like, okay, we'll get married on Thursday, go to New Orleans for the weekend, and then come back to Louisville and pack because I need to be ready to teach on whatever date. And I just want to have 2 weeks to like settle into the place. So Spencer was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like that's what we'll do. So 90 days, we plan the wedding. We send everybody a video. Hey, we're engaged. And people was like,
how do we get here?
Okay, great.
Actually,
we had just had a birthday party. Nobody even knew. For your birthday.
Actually, was it the night I proposed or the next night we went and got matching? Like
the same night we went to go get tattoos.
Yeah.
And so I'm sharing this because
planned
your birthday.
Brunch.
Yeah, your birthday brunch.
Yeah.
I've been planning this man birthday parties obviously since we met. I didn't even realize it's hilarious. But that obedience of like, I would like for us to be married before we move. And literally we get married in probably the most intimate and only a wedding that we would have. I don't even know any other way to describe it.
It was great.
And we go to New Orleans. And while we're in New Orleans, we get a call.
So you get married on Thursday. You go to New Orleans on Friday. Okay.
And so we are at the House of Blues listening to music. And I'm gonna let Spencer tell the story from here because this is where things, like you said, things get real fast. And I think my biggest reflection here was like, I could have resisted Spencer saying I want us to be married before we move, and saying like, well, I want to save my money to have this type of wedding. I've always wanted this, that, and the other. And this is no shade to anybody who wants a particular type of wedding. Follow your dreams. I didn't have that dream. I just wanted my friends to be there, my family to be there, and for me to love the person that I was getting married to. The wedding I want, I can't afford, and I don't want to spend that money.
Sure.
So,
and we were grad students.
and that was it. So I had to be realistic for where I was, but the obedience was the biggest lesson for me in the engagement period.
Okay. Y'all get married on Thursday. Y'all leave on Friday.
So this part, and just to put a caveat in here, my mom's also going through her chemo, radiation. She took her last radiation appointment was June 13th, 2018. And at this point, they had just put her on a pill. So she barely made it through our wedding because she was sick from the medicine.
And we hadn't seen her.
Yeah, we hadn't
between like early July, because Spencer's lease ends on June 30th. And so he comes to Louisville to stay for a month because we already know we're going to move in August. So we had only been like FaceTiming, this, that, and the other. So when we get to the wedding and we actually see his mom, it's like visible that she was weak and like frail.
Yeah, right. And so that kind of like, I don't know, it just made me like, yo, you good? But knowing my mom, I'm like, oh, this is just something she's gonna bounce back from. She good, she gonna be all right. And so she, she actually got a call from her doctor while at the wedding. And so my mom always said when she got married, the song she wanted to be played at her wedding was Etta James, At Last. This is important. We walk into the House of Blues on our honeymoon, and what's played? At Last, Etta James. And so my aunt on the way in had called me and was like, hey, I can't do you like this. Your mom is in the hospital. And so we have a brief moment, like, what do we want to do? And so I'm like, she gonna bounce back from this. Let's just, go in here, decompress a little bit and come up with something. So I make the recording, send it to her, and was like, hey, this is that song that my mom loved. And so we kind of get through that.
Yeah.
And so it's also important to note that my grandparents couldn't come to my wedding because my grandfather had dementia at the time. And so my mom is FaceTiming my grandparents at the wedding. So we're saying, okay, we ended up leaving New Orleans to catch the train back to Tuscaloosa. We drive past, so my mom's in the hospital in Birmingham. We drive past Birmingham to go to Anniston to see my grandparents because they couldn't come to the wedding. We knew that we were going to go to Louisville after we saw my mom. So we backtracked to Birmingham to see my mom. And my mom's like, she's a heavy sleeper, but she's also a light sleeper. But she was on her medicine and was like talking loopy, which she does in her sleep when she sleeps. So, she's talking, but it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So I'm like, okay, I'll just let you finish getting your rest. But I just wanted you to know I just needed to come lay eyes on you before we left and went to Pittsburgh. to Louisville. So we get to Louisville. And so we get there, spend a couple days. I had been trying to call my mom to no avail. We go get, well, I went and got 4 new tires, put on the car, and the next day we were supposed to leave. We go to bed that night, and my phone rings. I'm asleep, but I know my phone rings. I don't want no smoke with nobody, so I'm not going to answer the phone. So I'm going to just stay asleep. But it's like, I also can't get up to answer. It's not that I don't want to. I just physically can't wake up to answer. And as soon as the phone stopped ringing, it was like I knew something was wrong. Then Kirsten's phone rang. And so I hear her, don't know what she's saying, but I hear her in my sleep on the phone. And as soon as she touched my back, it's like I just shot up. And it was like, no. Mind you, in this moment, it could have been anything. But it's just like I knew. Because my aunt had told me her mom had gotten better, skin had started clearing up. My mom had eczema, so her skin had gotten dark because of the medicine as well. Skin cleared up. Everything was good. She was up having conversation, joking around. And when Khirsten touched me, it was just like, yep, I know. And it was like, I didn't want her to tell me because her telling me would have made it real.
Yeah.
And the moment she said something, I was like, wow. So, we kind of course, put things on pause. And it's like she went into overdrive.
Kirsten.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, we were supposed to be going north, we're going back south. All right, let's do this. And I can't, from there, everything was a blur.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I think I looked out the window the entire ride. Didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So didn't have the words, didn't anything.
Yeah.
And so
in comes Simba.
Yeah, right. You want to go from there? Because my mind is like,
okay, I can take it. Because look, we have 7:48. Okay, so you all are married only a few days. 7 days.
Oh no.
This was a Wednesday.
The funeral was 7 days after.
This was a Wednesday.
No, yeah. So 6.
So y'all were married less than a week.
Less than a week.
And you start your marriage with the unfortunate passing of Spencer's mom. In addition, y'all lives are ending from Alabama and Louisville. Y'all are closing chapters and about to start another one, but y'all are starting it in grief. This is how you all start your union. And not only just grieving the death of your mom, Spencer, but grieving who you all were, grieving, having to move, even though it was a good thing that you all had to move, right? It's a upward move, but it still comes with a loss, right? And you have to kind of count that cost as you're moving. So y'all are in transition, y'all are thrown into this moment. How did y'all make it? How have y'all made it this long, right? Because something like that could have literally derailed a marriage or relationship.
Well, I know for me, I had to relearn who I was and am. And in the midst of that, in the midst of me relearning who I am and was, because she's all I necessarily knew, because I was single parent, it was just me and her. Kirsten was able to relearn who I became as a result of this. And in this new space, being in Pittsburgh, we are all we had.
Yeah.
And so we were able to find some solace in each other. And I appreciate, who she was and has been through all of this, because I honestly don't know how, I would have maneuvered.
Yeah.
So I think also constant communication. Even when I didn't have the words, I was, I don't know. I don't know what I feel right now. I appreciate you being here. And that was also important. The unfortunate thing, and what I do regret in all of this, I didn't hold space for her grief. Because she had her own relationship with my mom. And I didn't ever just check on her to see, how do you feel in all of this? How are you holding up? Because I'm like, yo, that's my mom, you know? Yeah. So it was never, let me check on you. And I do regret that.
I think to think about like how we made it through. I was very sad. I was angry at a lot of times because literally the person I married and the person I moved to Pittsburgh with were two different people. Like
who is this person?
Abracadabra, who is this man? Keke Palmer, who is? But I do remember going into overdrive. And this is why that comment of like, I want us to get married before we move is so important, because there were things that I had to do that if we had not been married, it would not have happened. And even things to this day, I have to pay attention to, like when Spencer is feeling like anxious, or when it becomes overwhelming to revisit something like with like legal matters or paperwork or things like that. And then like legally, I am able to speak on his behalf. If we had not been married, he wouldn't have had that support. And so I really began to understand differently what a helpmate means. And it's not just like cooking, cleaning, all these things. It is in times of crisis, like, you got me? Can you have me? Like, I mean, it's a joke, but it's not a joke. I had to learn how to be the president of the silence ministry. And I like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of things. And I, very similar to how it was when Spencer proposed, I would just be trying to fill the space. And I am so awkward when things are quiet, like, but not anymore. Like, I can sit in silence very differently now, because Spencer would tell me, like, I would be like, well, do you want to go on a trip? Do you want to go back to Alabama? Do you feel like you need to like go see your friends? Like, what do you need? Like, I'm trying to support and do all of these things, like panicking, frankly. And he was just like, I just need you to be here with me. Sometimes I just need you to sit on the couch with me. So I learned how to sit and be still. And the things that I could hear were so different. And we came to understand, and I'm going to make a big distinction here. We came to understand church differently in moving to Pittsburgh. And some of this is cultural. It was just like a whole different world of what we knew growing up in the South. But like the community that we found there, like what it meant to go somewhere on Sunday and get a hug. Like all these cultural things that I think we sometimes want to stray away from, of like, well, you don't need this at church, you don't need this. Like, we needed community. And I think that regardless of the crisis or not, like early marriages, all marriages for long term, you need community. Like, you're not supposed to, I was thinking, I'm not supposed to do life alone. Like, I don't want to be lonely, But even when you become a unit, this surrounding of who you are around, those reminders, that transparency, it becomes a real thing. And I remember just like writing so much and crying so much. I was mad at my family. I was mad at Spencer family. I was like, everybody's checking on this man.
Yeah.
This man. Like, ain't nobody gonna ask me, like, you good? You need nothing. And I have since then been able to say to people, like, I would like for you all to check on me. I'm good, but just ask me.
Yeah.
Like, how are things going? And then I had to encourage Spencer a lot to be like, you know, your mom was the glue. Like, it's a lot of her siblings, her mother, her nieces and nephews, everyone is feeling her absence, her friends. And I was like, you have a responsibility now to build a relationship with your family. Because with Spencer being an only child and then losing his mom and then being married to me and us being in Pittsburgh, how he read it, like, we all we got, it was like I was all he had. And I was like drowning.
Yeah, that's real.
I was drowning because I was like, I don't even know what to do. I literally experienced the highest stress things all at once.
Yeah.
Marriage, grief and loss, relocation, starting a new job. And then I turned 30. Like, all 5 of them things on whatever the stress test is, I'm saying within the time. In a 2-year span, I did all of that in 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in there. COVID was up in there. We also survived lockdown. Okay. That's actually when our marriage reset. But I'm saying this because I read this poem in the depths of my grief, of that chapter of my grief. And it talked about how to love someone long term is to attend 10,000 funerals of who they used to be.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's so real, like, how many of your dreams change, how many of the ways that you see things. And I hear so many single people saying so often, like, I got this checklist. I need my man to be healed. I need him to know how to do this. But who you become, like the becoming, it is the most amazing thing to experience if you really journey through it and you use your faith as the tool to navigate it. Because the humility that we learned and are continuing to learn in dealing with each other could not have been mediated any other way.
Yeah. Okay. Man, y'all enjoying this? Like, look, the chat is going good. Y'all enjoying this? Be sure to drop questions in the chat if y'all have it for them, any questions for them. And I'm gonna jump in. So first off, and I just have to say this publicly, and Spencer, I know I've said this to you privately in the chat, in our group text or single text. I've said this publicly here, that you all are one of my favorite couples, right? And I've seen the journey from single to you all moving into the future together, the journey of becoming one, right? And in the beginning of the relationship, I was saying, friend, you got it. This is Khirsten, encouraging her, because I'm more closer to her, but I'm still a friend of the relationship and I'm talking to her. But I remember recently I said, thank you for loving my friend. And I really do mean that, right? I really love my friends, but I don't think sometimes we thank the guys for showing up, because in the beginning, Khirsten had to show up. But as you all have journeyed and Khirsten has shared with me how important you all's marriage is in her evolution and her growth, I can't help but say, thank you for loving my friend too. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful that you all found each other. I'm gonna cry my eyelashes off. But it means a lot to me to see, like, a representation of journeying, right? A representation of two people coming together, overcoming adversity. Because y'all know we in the streets, we in single streets. You got one time and we cutting you off, like, you done. right? You can't do that, right? And I know that even in some conversations I may have with you, Spencer, or with Kirsten, y'all always give me something to think about as a single woman, right? To consider. And so I'm really grateful to be a friend of you all's relationship, and I'm always rooting y'all on. And I'm so excited to see what is to come. And so now, like, y'all are here. Tell us about 6 years in July, right? End of July. Y'all are here. Y'all overcome so many things. But I feel like, has it been like the last year or 2 years that the relationship has gotten fantastic? Because there's this moment, it's post-COVID, right?
So I feel like the marriage has been fantastic even through it all.
Okay.
No, don't get me wrong. Just stick with me for a second. No, because marriage, right, is that unconditional love, that unconditional peace, just being there for one another at your core, right? And I feel like if it wasn't fantastic, we would have got a divorce a week after after we got married.
Yeah.
So the journey has just made it this even more grand thing.
Okay.
And now I just feel like we've just gotten even closer. And it's like you think you can grow, you're already close to somebody until you get even closer. And lately we've been just talking about how great things have been just within our marriage, and how we've been truly appreciative of each other. And I think that, at some point after COVID happened, well, during COVID, we were just like, you know what? This is all it is. If this world never opened back up, listen, we here.
We locked in.
Go nowhere. You can't go nowhere. And
I literally was locked in.
That's a real marriage test. If you want to get married, I don't know how you could do this. I mean, because the world has opened back up. But lock yourself down with that person for 3 months and just see what happens.
Well, some marriages have ended.
Keeping it real, like in 3 days, you're gonna begin to see. You're gonna begin to see, because when you ain't got that time at work, that time away, I'm serious. Like, you start seeing yourself, you start seeing them, and you like, wow, I am a little annoying. This me. I was like, oh, I really do be doing all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And but so I will say the last 2 years have been a reflection, I think, of making a commitment. So when we got married, we made a commitment to each other. And I think when we actually reflect more deeply than what this space and time can allow about who we were pre getting married, we had a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah.
And I thank God daily for our commitment to work on ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people put attention on, like, well, my marriage, this house, this. But we did take some very specific steps to do some individual work that then made what we came back to contribute together make all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be clear, I think I was doing individual work before I got married, but there were so many things that I didn't even know to work on until I lived with somebody else this closely.
Mm.
Ways that I didn't know what my deflection looked like, ways that I didn't know there was nowhere to hide anymore.
Yeah.
And this is not just with COVID. This is like literally, I struggled when we first got married. I had lived by myself for 6 years. And I was like, we just can't get far enough away.
Okay, we're in the same room.
When I go in this room, I can hear you. Then the bathroom wasn't big enough. The kitchen wasn't big enough. Wasn't nothing right. I'm just being honest. It wasn't about, do we love each other? it was just like nothing could work. There was no formula. We had one car. So it was like, what time he come to pick me up? It was coordinated. Spencer loved it. He loved nothing more than picking me up. Meanwhile, I was like, well, like, what if I want to stop somewhere on my way home? Like, I felt like restricted.
Yeah.
But until I started doing that individual work, that what this thing was revealing, I started to see like I don't actually have a concept of someone loving me, being devoted to me in an intimate relationship. I knew how to show up for people. I knew how to be committed. I could be loyal, but like the idea of like love and deep unadulterated love and praying with each other and being like naked and unashamed and like all parts of who I was, didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Because I became a master of disguise. And all of those accolades, they were true. I had worked on them, but they were covers.
Yeah.
Like, Spencer saw me when the paper was stressing me out. Other people just saw the final paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just an example, I think, of like all of those in between stages that like how we got to the gleeful part is like all the walls fell apart. Like all the masks fell off because it was like, look, you got some struggles, I got some struggles. We're gonna help each other through this. And we have to we say things in our house constantly like, I'm not your enemy. We're on the same team. Like we literally say this probably like 20 times a week.
I would say that 20 times a month, maybe.
Okay, now a month. But it used to be a time we had to say it in every conversation.
Yeah.
Like you getting tight just from somebody saying X. And Spencer would say it to me all the time, like, Khirsten, I'm not against you. And I think sometimes people take that for granted of like, once you reveal to a person, like, I really be thinking that you're against me and be like, I'm not against you. But I am going to tell you to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Stop saying
that. Yeah.
And so what I'm reworking in my mind is like, when do my defenses come up? What do I actually feel like is threatened here? And there's a safety in doing that. And I am very sure that what I thought would give me stability, the degrees that produced the job, that produced the 6-figure income, that did all of these things, had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
That the stability I feel is that I have no doubt in my mind that if I call my husband, he gonna show up.
Yep.
That if I'm having a problem, he's not gonna ever say a cross word about my family, my friends, anything that I hold dear to it. But he also not gonna play about me.
We're here for it.
And both of those things can exist.
Yeah. We're here for it.
And when we were dating and he told me that I ain't got a lot of money, one day I pray I will, but the best thing I got is time. He gonna give me his time now. And now I recognize exactly the value of that. And then the things that I love, he gives his time to those things too.
Which has ultimately also helped you grow, help you heal, help you become, or even unbecome, right? So many things you had to become because you were journeying alone. You found your identity in education. Me too. We have these conversations often. And now you have a love that you're uncomfortable with. So now you're fighting it, but you want it.
Right.
You're fighting it, but you want it because you don't know how to accept it.
And now the fight doesn't exist anymore. And this is where I felt completely empowered to walk into my journey in ministry. A call that I don't necessarily think that my husband has or has named to me. Let me be clear. Has named to me. And what I mean by this and like making this distinction is that there has been no step that I have taken that Spencer is not supporting me on. When he wrote that timeline down, he didn't say he quit his job before proposing to me. And like in the society that I know, I ain't nobody in my family, ain't no man followed the woman for their job. So just off that, like, and I'm sure for some people, this is still like, well, what are y'all doing? What's happening? At every stop, when I say like, this job is stressing me out, he's like, okay, well, what needs to happen? When I'm not sure if I need to stay in this profession, I got us. So things look different, but don't worry. You know what I'm saying? That like all these things that I have put in place in my control didn't matter because the support is there. And so when I say now, my prayer life has shifted, my spiritual life has shifted, all these things have shifted that I can't ignore. Spencer is not in competition with me to say, like, why are you up front? Why do you? I like to talk. He ain't got to do. He don't want to do that.
Doing this thing.
He want to see the whole room. He want to stand in the back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
And
learning how to listen to his leadership because me being vocal doesn't mean I'm the best leader. There are things that I lead very well. There are things that he leads very well. There are things that he has stronger convictions about that I don't have an opinion about. And so it has been also learning how to like hear each other in the way that God is speaking to us to move. And it's showing up in every relationship that we have.
One thing that I remember you saying, Khirsten, even when it pertains to Spencer deciding to move, this is in our conversation, he was like, he made a sacrifice this time. I know I'm going to have to make one too, right? So the sacrifice for him came on the front end, right? I'm going to do this. We have an opportunity here. Let's go ahead and follow this opportunity because your opportunity came first.
Yep.
And then, but you were always clear, you've always been clear to me, there is going to be a time where it's going to be his turn and I will make this sacrifice because he's made it for me.
Yep.
And I was like, girl, eating it on up, Spencer. You hear me? You hear me? Because, and this is, and I mean, I'm just so proud of y'all, right? I'm just so excited for y'all's future because I've seen Khirsten be able to grow because she's married to you. And I don't just say this like, because y'all know, but I've seen her be able to become, right? So while it may seem like you were making this sacrifice, no. She needed you in the same way that y'all needed each other, right? And so when I'm thinking about our friendship and when I'm thinking about even the relationships, and I shared it with you, Spencer, she said, I'm proud to be this man wife. And I said, girl, come on, somebody. I'm proud to be his wife. But I've also seen you grow, Spencer. You were in undergrad, right? Coaching. You done came out. What you tell me you do? You done got your master's. Now what you do?
Restorative practice coordinator.
Come on now, somebody.
Like it's so it is, but it's good because you do it.
It's good. Sound good. It's what you're supposed to do, but you have grown. So it wasn't the way I look at it is like it wasn't just a Khirsten opportunity. It was you too. You had to be willing and open to grow too, right? To leave Alabama, small Alabama. Jesus. I can't wait to get out.
Hey, hold on, man.
I can't wait to get out. So okay, so we have some questions in the chat, but I want to say, what is the most important thing you all have learned as a married couple, been married almost 6 years? What is the most important thing you've learned, and what advice would you give people married or unmarried?
For me, I think it ain't all about me. I definitely feel like one thing I've learned since being married versus dating, to put me aside. It is what I want her to have, what I want her to see, what I want her to be. I'm very supportive, and I want her to be my biggest cheerleader because I'm just gonna try to out cheer her. So I just want us to continue to love and care for each other. And the lessons within that is just to be selfless. Because at the end of the day, I can't be in a marriage by myself.
Yeah.
And we can't be in a marriage with just each other.
Yeah.
It's a 3-part thing. We can't do this without God either.
Yeah.
So I truly feel like all of this has taught me just so much. And I think that, and some advice that I have is just work on yourself. And I hate when people say that because sometimes you don't know what to work on.
Yeah. I got to get everything.
Right. You don't know what to work on. It's like, okay, but I'm going to therapy and I'm at church. And it's like, okay, but what about with your free time? What you doing with it? How are you spending that time? Like, how do you react when you get upset? How do you react to, you know, just any and everybody coming up to you thinking, okay, this cool, and giving people your time when you know that you can't see yourself with them in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Now listen, 5 to 10 years every day is a long time. Listen, uh, that's every day. That is a long time. So I can't imagine what a lifetime would be like. So if you can't see yourself waking up literally every day for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
just don't waste your time, and
Got
don't
it.
there's either.
Don't waste their time. Okay. We love it. Kirsten, what you got?
I say, the biggest lessons I've learned is like, don't go at it alone. I think we sometimes live in a culture that is afraid of vulnerability, but the biggest transformations we've had required us to be with other people at the most difficult time. And in that being with other people, like revealing things that we were dealing with, struggles that we were having financially, interpersonally, with our past, um, um, with our bodies, health, though, like just putting it out there and knowing that you have other people to support you. And I really and it's not about divulging. I want to be clear. Like, it's not like, oh, let me run this back. You know what I'm saying? Because I've equally learned that, like, I don't, the way I would talk about my marriage, my relationship with Spencer, about him when we first got married, it was so venti.
Mm.
And boy, he said shout out to Starbucks, just FYI. Okay. All right. Right. So, I done lost my thought.
It was venti. You was venting at
Yeah, I
first.
was venting, and like what was missing was God, like legit. Like, and so I think outside of like having community is like, you really gotta love yourself in your marriage like God. You gotta love like Jesus for real.
Yeah.
And I mean,
You gotta love like Jesus.
you talking to somebody who used to think like, yeah, it's a little idealistic, don't you think? Because people really be trying you, and I could rationalize that thing all the way out. But it's actually really simple. And when you can kind of recalibrate your expectations, and I'm not talking about settling, I just mean actually living within your means. I mean, and I don't mean financial means only, but like, what do you all have a capacity to do? What does it take to get to that dream? Spencer has asked me several times, what does accountability look like? And I think we want to hold people accountable and say this and that, but before you get to accountability, you got to get to communication.
Yeah.
I got to tell you what's really up with me, not only from what you see, but what's happening inside of me. Because you can't hold me accountable if you don't know. I'm talking about know to the depths of it all. Because that is why people get tight and they going off and they doing this and they doing that. And we got to go to separate spaces. And the final thing that I learned was that there was some foundational things that were laid down in our marriage very early that I was resistant to.
Okay, like
I'm talking about simple stuff like we ain't never sleeping in separate beds. And I was like, you don't know, or
like a stressor. Like I said what I said.
And we ain't storming off when we do that. Like, it was just like these very like, we not doing these things.
Yeah.
We not cussing at each other.
Yeah.
We ain't coming at each other. We ain't charging at each other. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and it's not like we wrote down a rule book, but it was just like very clear things that I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But as time has progressed, I'm like, dang, we really were clear. And so that caused us to create practices that disallowed those things.
A little bit.
So we have to find new ways to fight.
Yeah. New ways to fight. And fair.
Fight fair. Say what you gotta say. Be ready for when that person say this or that. Cause I'd be having to just sit there like, yeah, all right. That's right. I don't like it right now.
Yeah. It's tight, but it's right.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Saying and it has changed how I operate on my job. It's changed how I operate when I'm working with young people. It's changed how I just see people. Like I have so much more grace because I'm like, I don't really know where they at right now. I don't know what they're feeling. And I learned that from Spencer telling me, like, you're never gonna understand what I'm feeling. I'm gonna give you access to me. But like what I feel about my mom, I got it wrong. I used to be like, do you feel like a part of your heart was missing? It was like, I feel like a part of my brain is missing. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like that was so like I was thinking it's all feelings. And he was like, I'm talking about how I process things, how I think through. And so that small example became my guide for like, you could think that you know how a person is experiencing you or a space or a moment, but that ain't even what we're here for.
Yeah.
That ain't even what we're here for. And I can get caught up in that and miss the moment I'm supposed to be in.
I love it. All right. All right. So we're going to move to the chat. We got a few questions. If y'all have questions for them, drop it in the chat. The first question we have is, what advice would you give for long distance relationships?
I got a few C's. No, seriously. Yeah, no.
Get your notes.
I got Christ, creativity, communication, compromise, and I said C's, which means there's an S at the end of sacrifice.
Compromise. Christ, creativity, communication, compromise, and what else?
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Break it down for us. Christ.
In any relationship, he should be at the forefront.
Yeah.
And without him, nothing. He's like, the foundation. Without him, can't anything stand. And you should look to Christ when trying to start anything. First and foremost, is this the person he designated for you to be with?
Yeah.
You've been praying for a man. It could be the man standing beside him, and you didn't walked up to him, or vice versa. The vision, like if this person don't see Christ in their life and you do, it's like, hold on now, where we going?
Can't walk together.
Right. We're going in two separate directions.
Yeah. Creativity.
It's gonna be some times where things get real rough. You're gonna really need to pray your way out of that. So yeah, Christ all day, every day.
Okay. Creativity.
You gotta, hey, listen, you gotta make that distance creative, because that's a lot of gas and time.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Kirsten had some
she was creative.
Time. She was frequent in Alabama. So, but seriously, like I've had to tap into some creative juices, like make some videos and piece some pictures together to say this is how I want to show my love for you this month. Or let's play this virtual game, or let's watch virtual let's watch a movie online together.
And y'all have like movie dates in two different states.
Yeah. We did a lot of we had one Valentine's thing. She had, I don't know how she put it together. What
you had a collage?
When she was sending me clues. She was sending me.
Oh yeah, it was actually really fun. It was through your roommate.
Yeah. Okay. So through my roommate at the time, shout out to Val, and his lady friend at the time, they really coordinated to provide a lot of different clues everywhere, and it was just like everywhere I turned, it was a clue here, a clue there, and it was, hey, go do this. Hey, I got you some money here. you got to find it and then go get your hair done or some of that nature. And it was just like,
Yeah, but it's also the creativity is like, don't underestimate the small stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I would go to the Dollar Tree and get a tablecloth and take it to restaurants. Like all this stuff y'all see on social media. We was doing this before social media,
yeah,
okay? Like
yeah.
I would take candles to the restaurant,
I was
look
actually
tea like
second or third
yeah,
date.
like a dollar tablecloth and put it on the tablecloth at IHOP, or like take our champagne to Waffle House, and because we were broke, like we didn't have no money.
Yeah, you grad students.
Yeah, and so like now we still do all of this stuff. I'm doing it next week for Valentine's Day.
Amen.
Yeah, so
all right, communication.
Over communicate. Like say what you need to say. Get it off your chest. Because at the end of the day, if they can't communicate through dating, they can't communicate through marriage. And so people don't just miraculously change and do the things you need them to do once that ring is there. Say what you say what you need to say. Because
with love.
Well, yeah, with love. It's a certain way to do it, but say what you need to say. Because if you don't, then people wondering. I'm not a mind reader. I can probably finish some sentences, but I can't tell you where her mind is all the time.
Yeah.
And we've been together for just 10 years. And
yeah.
I mean, even when I don't feel like it sometimes, I'm like, look, this is where I am. I don't want to argue, but I do want to let you know this is how I'm feeling in this moment. And we also, while we were dating, it was like, look, can I come to you as a friend instead of as a boyfriend? I need my friend right now because I just got to get this off my chest. And you're the only person I trust with this.
Have a range of communication because everything is not always a conversation. Like sometimes I just write Spencer like a letter or an email or send a text. Or sometimes he says like, I need to talk about this after work. Like I think sometimes we have to be specific and use discernment to know when and what to communicate. And that takes some time. I want to be clear about that. It takes some time to refine. But we really did have to like think about like, sometimes it's your body language that pissed me off. It wasn't even what you said. It was the fact that you stayed on your phone while I was talking. It's like, wow, I was listening to you. But that's triggering to me. And so if it's, really heavy, time of day matters, I can talk about something first thing in the morning, especially I don't like talking about stuff first thing in the morning. And so like, okay, I'm not gonna wake you up, but this little index card is sitting on your phone.
Just so you reach point.
Because, and then he can sit with that, and now it ain't gotta be a whole discussion that lingers and goes on. So just like understand that communication is diverse.
Okay.
There's a lot of options.
And of course, compromise. Let's talk about the sacrifice. Okay. We can move.
No, seriously. You got to move yourself to the side. You really got to die to yourself. It sucks. It's hard. It's scary. But if you want to be at the front, all in the videos, all at the forefront of everything, then you missed the mark. Moving to Pittsburgh was probably one of the most humbling things I probably had to do. Because I had to move here knowing that I left my family in turmoil.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize I was doing that when I moved.
Yeah.
But I knew when I got here, I didn't have a job. I left my job. I left the kids who I was coaching, who would do anything I asked, like literally run through whatever brick wall that I asked them to run through.
Yeah.
Run however long I asked them to run. Like kids who would do whatever because they appreciated who I was.
Yeah.
I left a comfortable space
Mhm.
to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Uh,
great. That's where you grow.
you can't grow without being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So true.
And so within that particular sacrifice, and again, I have never lived outside of Alabama until the preparation of moving to Pittsburgh happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I love my family. So I don't know. It was just really rough.
I got it.
Really rough trying to, relearn life, and build your own.
Okay. Okay. What's a strategy you have or can give when there's a breakdown in the marriage? For example, misunderstanding or lack of communication. What's a strategy for breakdown?
Well, I think you want to that one and talking. Well, we have a few that we do, but I would say where I am now, I would say first look in the mirror, like you need to pray, like before any kind of interactions, because sometimes it's like a self search, but our like initial instinct is like address, fix, do, and all these things, and we don't do that like step back introspection, like God, what you trying to say to me? Like what's going on? And that slowing down kind of helps you because you might be convicted in a certain way.
Yeah.
What's what? But in the literal strategy, um, we we sit in the dark sometimes and have conversations.
Mm.
Because body language is the enemy. It will trick you. Folded arms, looking away.
Yeah.
And these things mean different things for different people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it could be just like right when you make that point, that's when you have to go to the bathroom. But you got to now distracted, and now I'm commenting on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are very I do think our professional lives have bled into our personal lives. So we are very like scheduled on things. And so like sometimes the strategy is being proactive. So there's like like check-in times. And it's non-negotiable. Like we checking in. And so when you're doing that more often, you change the culture of your marriage, you change the atmosphere of your house, that like you're not waiting to pop off about a thing because there's already a designated time for it. But other times it's time, you just gotta say it right when it's time to say it. And just this week, we literally we are in the season of everything that comes to your mind ain't gotta be said. Because we both got smart mouths, and we had to just come to terms with that. You ain't have to say that. I love you, and it's both of us. And so I was thinking about things, some grievances that I have, and just like my grievances come at like 5 a.m. And so 3 a.m. sometimes. I wake up early. Okay, I wake up very early. And so I suggested, I was like, maybe we could just have a space, like a shared note in our phone where we could just dump things. Because I want you to notice, because it's important for when that check-in comes, but it wasn't really that big in the moment because I already took care of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the thing may be. And so that has been a new strategy that we, haven't completely taken on, but it's just that lesson of like, how important is this right now? It matters to me, but it's not urgent. Or it's, like really just having, like I said, that discernment to know about breakdowns. And I would say even outside of communication, I still go back to community, that I am a firm believer that you need other people. I mean, good people that you have vetted, people that you agree on. So like Bree and a handful of other people are people that we could call like friends of our marriage. Not Khirsten friends, not Spencer friends, but we have immersed ourselves. And that takes time to nurture. And there's some people who we believe will, in time, be those people as well for us. But those are people who either one of us calls or one person calls, they're not going to say something cross about our marriage, about the other person.
Mhm.
They're not an enemy of our marriage. They also understand the foundation that we're standing on and where we're trying to go. And so I think that deciding who those people are, and even if you can't get to the point of your dating relationship or marriage relationship, that they're like a friend of both, but that like your partner knows, like, this is my person. Cause they also gotta trust it. Like, I don't want Spencer feeling like, well, when you talk to them, I don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now I'm feeling away when I'm sharing. So that strategy is important. And these are not like gossipy friends. These are not
Yeah.
like jealous friends. These are people who they're with you, journeying.
And want to see y'all win every time, no matter what. All right, last question. It's about love languages. Do you practice loving each other through your love language? And for example, I think Spencer's is physical touch. I don't know if that's true. Kirsten's is words of affirmation. How do you love each other the way your spouse desires? That's a big one.
I have to be honest. I suck at this. When we first got married, well, when we were dating, um, I noticed that people love other people according to their love
Mm-hmm.
language. And so I would get a lot of gifts. And so we anybody who knows me and Kirsten from the inception of our relationship noticed that I literally took on 6 or 7 jobs as we were dating in the beginning.
Stop it.
That's okay. Okay. All right. All right. So
you took them 6 or 7 jobs to date.
But after a while, I just stopped, providing gifts and started trying to love her the way that I wanted to be loved instead of how she needed to be shown that particular love. And it also went back to birthdays. She grew up with siblings, so Christmas was never that. It was Christmas, but birthdays was the thing for them because everybody had their own birthday.
Yeah.
So she truly takes birthdays serious. Hence why my birthdays have been so fabulous. But I just had not tapped into loving her in those ways that she needed to be loved. And so I've given her a lot of time. I've given her a lot of energy, a lot of moments where we PDA pretty well, right?
You getting better.
Okay, I'm getting better. But when we hear, I try to make sure that, hey, I'm here.
Okay.
That is important to for me to know, for her to know that, hey, look, I'm here every step of the way. But I have to, in accountability, I have to do better. And I truly appreciate the grace that she's given me in that particular department. So yeah. I think, but I think I'm doing better.
Well, you be trying. I used to call Brita, ask her what's about it.
Yeah.
Like, can we go to the store? I need to.
But
call me if you want a good gift.
I need a good gift.
She real tricky to shop for those. I mean, she real particular. Shout out to what is it, Ann Taylor and
Ooh, girl, we used to work at
that chapter now. See, that's the thing.
Work at the loft.
Yeah.
It's so funny because to the question, like, I do think knowing love languages, or just really knowing as much as you can about the other person, is important. And however you can get to that is important. And at once I was so against like the Enneagram test and all these things, and they had their pros and cons. But we actually we never stopped going to marriage counseling when we first got married.
Oh, that's good.
That's some advice I would give people. Like, the real work is after. So get somebody all up in your business.
Right.
But we went
keep them in there.
keep them in there. We went to a Christian marriage counselor who did a temperament test for us, and it was absolutely mind-blowing to me. And so if you have access to that, with the correct guidance upon getting the results, I would totally recommend that as a parallel to like love languages, because what we learned about our temperaments had a lot to do with how God wired us and purposed us. And the reason why it blew my mind is because so many of the scenarios within the analysis of the test were like habits that we had. And I was just like, how? Like it was just kind of like just so many clicks. So primary answer is learn as much as you can through supported spaces, but also just an observation, because you will, like Spencer said, he noticed like, oh, she keeps buying all these gifts, like that must be a thing. And he had to really, we've had talks about this, he had to change his mind that like gifts meant materialistic things, that like if it's something that I want, I'm gonna get it. But but the thought is what really matters, and it's consistency, that like things like my birthday, I'm looking forward to that. Like I'm very much a looking forward to person. I want to celebrate everything that I do, small, large, in between. So it is those things that he has really mastered, the thoughtfulness of like, this matters to my wife, so this how we moving. And it wasn't about the dollar spent, so he had to kind of shift his mindset from that like pursuit based mind. And so Spencer's primary love language is physical touch and time, sure, quality time. And so I didn't necessarily see myself as like a cuddly, touchy feely person. I'm very hot natured. Yeah, just not my thing. But since we have gotten married, it is the happiest part of my day to like snuggle up to my husband and just lay there and talk. And it, like, I look forward to it. I'm actually very sad when it doesn't happen. Like, we'll get a little fussy. And so it's so interesting how operating and being of service through love languages causes you to kind of take on new ways of like showing affection and experiencing things. And it's just really about this like yielding to it, that like, I could try to fight this and make you be this different person, or love you the way that I want to be loved, but it's gonna be a fight, and you don't want your relationship to be a fight. Like, you're gonna burn out.
You're
gonna burn out.
I think I gotta admit something on live on Bree's live stream. Nah, but seriously, as I was growing up, I was always like, Christmas, birthday, those were always like very big. And I don't think I ever just learned how to do that for somebody else.
Okay.
And so in learning, I think it has taught me a lot. It has taught me about going back to sacrifice and compromise. Just putting your needs and desires to the side, just to have a few more dollars for that purse that you was walking through the mall and she was like, I like that purse. And so just to be able to get, that smile in the end is always rewarding. You get those items that she didn't think you were going to ever circle back to grab. So to anybody, any male or anybody, it's okay to make those small sacrifices. So if you're ever spoiled, it's okay to spoil somebody else.
Oh, amen. Spoil somebody else, y'all. This has been fantastic. We have learned so much. I have cried. We have laughed. We have kiki. We have had a wonderful time. And I just want to thank y'all as my friends for, being willing to come on here and share your journey. I know that's not always an easy thing, right? To be honest and transparent, but we've learned so much and you dropped so many nuggets for me as a single person, the married people, because I got married people on here. And when people would come to me like for some type of advice, I'm like, I can't get no marriage. I can't. I'm gonna have some people come on, right? Who can maybe not even just advice, but share their journey, and you can maybe learn something, right? From their journey. And so I am so grateful to call y'all friend. For sure. And I gotta tell y'all this, y'all, before I let them go. I almost got canceled last year. Spencer, so we had this. I had to tell a story before y'all go.
It's a birthday party.
Spencer had a birthday party / graduation party in Pittsburgh. And y'all know we have this ritual that we do. We try to do it if our schedules can align. So Spencer invites me out. I don't respond. He texts me personally. I don't respond. Now, Spencer ain't going to reach out to you too much. He ain't going to say too much. So I know if he reaching out to me personally, I need to be there. But I never responded. I hit Khirsten up and said, I'm coming. Don't tell him I'm coming. Right? So Spencer this whole time, like, Khirsten, what's happening in the house, in the background? What's happening?
We going to bed. Yo, babe, we beefing with Bree? And I was like, no, I don't think we beefing. Oh, 2 days later. But I texted her. She didn't text me back. I said, she be real busy. Like, she been busy. So I'm calling. Please text Spencer before you blow your cover. And I gotta say something because he is not having it.
He wasn't having it. And Spencer don't, when he opened up, you in, right? He take a little minute, but when you in, you in. So I text him like, hey, I'm busy. I'm gonna try to make it. Still don't let him know I'm coming. So Khirsten know I'm coming. I come to the door. He opened the door, shocked. I'm like, did you think I was gonna not make it? Now I was only there for a few hours, like 48 hours. Because I don't stay nowhere long. But it was so important for me to not only just uphold the tradition, but show up for my friend, right? And I almost got canceled. I'm happy to say I'm still in. I'm not canceled. Let me know what y'all doing this year. But I love y'all. I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. And I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you all.
Yeah, I can't leave without saying I know you got your Oprahs, your Gayle Kings, and all this, but we got Bree.
All right now.
She like up there. So
I thought you was gonna say Gail Jones. I'm like, nah, I don't want to be Gail Jones. Khirsten still the reference, but thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot. Your support means a lot. The chats that we have when I hit you up means so much as my brother. And I am just thankful for y'all, and keep showing up, keep doing, let the people know where they can find you all if they want to connect or follow you on any socials.
My Instagram is just Khirsten L. Scott. And yeah.
I am Spencer Scott on Facebook. I probably gonna have to change this eventually, but The Truth, THATRUTH1 on Instagram. Also have a DJ page, The DJ PVO.
And we're having a birthday party for Spencer on the
19th. I can't hear you. What happened?
PVO. So put The in front of it on Instagram. You can find me there as well.
And he's a good DJ. Y'all looking for a DJ? Hit him up.
Sure. I'll give Bree the link, and she can provide the link for the birthday party. It's February 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, I throw parties for my mom, 5 parties a year, starting from October to her birthday, which is February 19th.
Wow.
So it's normally every third Friday. But for the February month, I actually do it on her birthday because she loved to party. She was the life of every party. And so she loved to have fun and she cared about other people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Scotts, the Scotts. I appreciate y'all. I know it's late on the East Coast. I'm gonna let y'all go get off. I'm gonna do the post show here, but thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us tonight. I'm so grateful for y'all.
All right.
Bye, y'all. Good night. All right, y'all. Did y'all enjoy them? I mean, let me know. Like, how do you feel? They shared so much, and it was so important to me to showcase diverse couples, not one-dimensional couples, not one couple that may have had a certain type of story, but it was so important for me to show all types of couples that I had access to, and how if you do the work and you put God first, um you can come out with a beautiful marriage, right? God can redeem anything. And I'm so grateful that you all have tuned in with us tonight. Listen, what do we have coming up? Next week, we're not doing Thursday. We're gonna do Valentine's Day. So if you're not with your boo or your booette and you want to be my guest here next Wednesday, tune in. I have a special guest. There'll be 2 singles chatting next Wednesday. And so I would love for you all to meet me here next Wednesday. Sunday, another episode of the podcast drops. Tuesday, strategy session live on my YouTube channel, and then I'll see you on Wednesday. So we have back-to-back sessions next week. I am so grateful for you all for tuning in and hanging out with me tonight. I hope this has encouraged you. I hope this has blessed you. And yeah, I'll see y'all. Where am I see y'all? On Sunday. I'll see y'all on Sunday. So have a safe night. Be careful. Share this with a friend who needs some encouragement, who needs to the courage to believe and to continue believing, because this is really what it's about. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all soon.